I will be proposing that ICE should curtail its operations to the extent required to limit its current rights violations. I will be presenting this from the perspective of U.S.-born citizens in largely undocumented communities, because these people, despite not being the direct target of ICE, are in fact being targeted by ICE during raids given their location, and ICE is committing major rights violations, which is why their operations should be curtailed. They are violating the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendments as examples. Now, regarding the 4th Amendment, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizures of possessions or persons, ICE, which only has jurisdiction over non-U.S. citizens, the Cato Institute looked into their records and found 3,000 illegal detentions of U.S. citizens from 2002 to 2019. ICE has no jurisdiction over these people, and hence these detentions were illegal and a violation of their rights and an overstep of ICE. Additionally, ICE has violated the 5th Amendment, the right to due process in case of indictment. Roughly 70 U.S. citizens have been deported. This, if they were given due process in their immigration proceedings, they would have absolutely been given the chance to present their citizenship, and they would not have been deported. So this shows 70 deportations that have resulted from ICE operations initially of U.S. citizens. Now, there's also violations of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection under the law. This was instituted post-Civil War, specifically to protect equal protection for the different races of citizens or residents under the law. Now, U.S. citizens are having this right infringed upon because, as Arizona State faculty found by looking into the data of abusive stops, searches, illegal detentions, they found that Hispanic people were targeted at significantly higher rates than their racial counterparts. This racial profiling is a clear violation of equal protection under the law, as then Hispanic citizens are undergoing these rights violations at a higher rate. Now, to wrap this up, this means that ICE operations should be curtailed because of their rights violations on U.S. citizens. And these can be sorted into 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment violations. Now, MAGA supporters, for example, represented in this case by Harrison Coman, might argue that ICE operations in general are trying to maintain the rule of law because they're enforcing immigration statutes, and hence their operations should not be curtailed. Coman proposed this or justified this by saying that detentions are legal under reasonable suspicion of committing a crime, and that these detentions have been happening for a long time, and if they were legal, the courts would have stopped it. However, courts cannot stop actions. They can merely react to them. 72-hour detentions are not relevant when you do not have jurisdiction over who's being detained, and a lot of these people were not under reasonable suspicion of a crime because ICE operations are supposed to target specifically non-U.S. citizens. Now, Scarlett Taylor, arguing for law enforcement, said that law enforcement's job is made easier because ICE can detain and deport criminals, making the streets safer, boosting the right to safety for U.S. citizens in these areas. However, ICE operations, according to LA County statistics, are not taking away criminals. Majority of their deportations are not of criminals. Hence, these operations are not specifically for keeping the streets safer. All in all, ICE is violating rights, and they are not boosting law and order or the right to safety.